Um, what can you say in a moment like this, except everything that I've been saying for the past couple of weeks about this Russian invasion has been proven right, unfortunately. Um, I did not want this to happen. No one really wanted this to happen. And least of all, the Ukrainian government and even the Ukrainian people did not want this to happen. And I want to dispel once and for all the idea that this was a defensive move by Russia or people supporting Russia for the bizarre reason that they often claim. And one of those is obviously, oh, it's all about NATO expansion. Here's the thing. The idea of Ukraine joining NATO has already been, even at the very start of this crisis, been dismissed as Ukraine will not be allowed into NATO. France and Germany were pretty clear even back then at the start of all this that no, they're not going to allow Ukraine in, and they have the veto power to be able to do that. But there is nothing, again, stopping Ukraine from sending like its membership application, I suppose you would call it. It is a sovereign country. We hope that it does remain a sovereign country. But the size of this invasion, as a lot of people are commenting at the moment, looks like this is very much a full-scale invasion. This is not just a simple land grab that we have seen before. And this, as always, becomes incredibly worrying. Again, I'd like to remind you all that this is war. It's very likely, but by the time this video comes out, this information may be even old or even out of date. But we will be, in this video, trying to predict, of course, of the events to come. But I highly suspect that this is, once again, but a first phase of a Russian invasion of Ukraine. And of course, Vladimir Putin's attempts now looks like more than just go beyond taking the region of Donbass and Luhansk. It does now seem that he may want to just take the whole of Ukraine. But that's what we've been discussing from his words. That's what a couple of analysts have been saying while I've been looking at this. But let's go through some of the stuff that's what's happened and what is currently current. Like I say, I'd like to remind you that when you're reporting on something like this, events can happen very, very quickly and may become very quickly out of date. By the time this video gets released, Russian troops may be even in Kiev. I hope that's not the case. But it does certainly seem that is the way that things are going. So to the map. So this is, of course, the current situation here. You have obviously here the Russian-controlled territory. Over here is the separatist-controlled area as well. Obviously down here in Crimea. And these spots here you see on the map are some of the action areas that we have seen. Luhansk, Ivano-Fransk, Kharkov, Odessa, and Dnipro, I think that's how you say it, and even Kiev have all seen airstrikes in the last, since this morning, really. We've also got reports, unconfirmed reports, that there was an attempted landing in Odessa. This, from what we have heard, and again, I must stress, this is war. We get lots of conflicting reports. It's difficult to say what the true situation on the ground really is, but it does seem that they managed to turn away an attempted amphibious landing in Odessa. However, of course, we are now seeing troops come in from Belarus and what seems to be troops targeting this city here in Kharkiv. We've also seen a landing, a marine landing near Mariupol. That is, again, currently on an ongoing situation. We don't know what the consequences of that are going to be yet. We've also heard that there are troops coming up here from Crimea. Now, it depends which way, of course, they are going to turn. But just as I've literally gone on before air. There has now been a helicopter attack with, again, these helicopters have come from Ukraine to attack an airport near Kiev. And this would, again, very much fit in with what US intelligence has been saying for a while, that this is a pattern that we would see for essentially invading Ukraine, but also taking Kiev as well, as that airport will help them support that invasion effort. Now, of course, we turn our attention to here. Currently, we do not know how much, obviously, this line is intended to hold, but if you've got Russian troops here, down near Mariupol, and you have troops coming up from Crimea, and what we have seen at the moment is the attempt to take here, the city of Kharkiv. I think what's potentially going to happen is, we do not know at the moment which way these troops are going to turn, but I highly suspect they are going to turn this way, because it makes perfect strategic sense if you're trying to take the city as well, that you essentially try to do this. And they're essentially going to try and cut off the Ukrainians here, while also probably at the same time securing more territory for these, again, supposed republics. But at this point, this is by the seems to be a full-scale invasion. And from what we've seen, talks of Putin very recently, this definitely seems like he's out to basically end Ukraine. And like I say, we're going to have to see how this situation develops. But I think ultimately that seems to be the play by the Russians here, that they are certainly going to try and maybe cut off all the Ukrainian forces here and separate them, while at the same time sending forces from Belarus into Ukraine, certainly to take Kiev, essentially trying to deliver a essentially 1-2 knockout blow and try to end this as quickly as possible. But as of course, this is a war, and you don't know which way the fortunes of war will favor either side. But needless to say, this is a very worrying situation. Like I say, this is a war we're covering. We do not know, obviously, what is going to happen. Some events on the ground may not even become known, maybe for another hour or such. We just don't know what's going to happen. However, the situation I've laid out there on the map, I think is probably very highly likely, given those Russian movements. And like I say, we are waiting to see which direction that armor coming from Ukraine does turn, whether it goes to Odessa or whether it goes to Mariupol. If it goes to Mariupol, then the idea of, again, trying to surround and corner the forces in eastern Ukraine, my prediction on that has come true. If they do turn, of course, to Odessa, then this goes all the way back to my conversations I had at the beginning of Ben. You may remember Ben the J reporter, where I said, look, Putin wants not only the Luhansk and Luhansk region, but he wants most of the coastal area as well, so it's easier for him to supply Crimea. That also looks incredibly likely as well. But there's a lot of people saying that the scale and the force disposition here is not just taking those regions. It does look like these are taking Ukraine as a whole, which becomes very, very worrying then. So, as always, like I say, to the people of Ukraine, I stay safe. And I do hope that, we can come together out of this, seeing, Ukraine as still a sovereign and democratic country. So with that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.